For our next keynote, please welcome to the stage Jonathan Nuna, co-founder and CEO of Sweetgreen. Jonathan will be interviewed by Kristen Hawley, reporter and founder of Expedite.
Hello.
Hello.
Jonathan Neman, CEO of Sweetgreen. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here with you today.
You are coming off a very exciting month. You had what I would call a surprise menu addition, a big surprise for Sweetgreen. You added fries to your menu just a few weeks ago. I know you spent a ton of time developing the fries. I know you spent a ton of time tasting them, eating them, making them perfect. But if someone was just reading the headlines, fries at Sweetgreen doesn't seem like a natural fit. So sell me on getting some fries with my Sweetgreen salad.
Absolutely. So when we started Sweetgreen almost 18 years ago now, the idea was to create farm-to-table fast food. And it was to create what would be eventually a global iconic brand that can make healthy food accessible to everyone. So for us, salads was just part one of what we wanted to create. And it was more about the sourcing, the scratch cooking, the quality, the craveability, and the experience. So as we've evolved over the years, we started with mostly salads, and evolved into warm bowls, plates, and we thought fries was a really fun and cool way to tell the story of Sweetgreen and how we do things differently. Americans eat 4.5 billion pounds of fries a year. It's something we all love, we all eat, but most of the fries that we eat are made with a lot of chemicals nobody here can pronounce. Most of them have 13 to 19 chemicals, they're deep fried in seed oils, and they're just really not good for you. And the idea was to prove that we can make fries, but make them with real ingredients and have them still be delicious and craveable. So we had this idea, I thought it was crazy too, to be honest. When the chef said, we're gonna do fries, I'm like, how are we going to do fries? He's like, well, I think there's a way to do it where we can air fry them, keep it super simple, 5 ingredients. So it's potatoes, it's cornstarch, it's salt, and it's avocado oil and parsley. And we air fry them every 30 minutes in our restaurants, and they're really, really delicious. And I think the other insight was, people come to Sweetgreen to treat themselves and kind of be good, be kind of good to themselves from a health perspective, and it gives an opportunity for what we call a permissible indulgence. You were good, and so now you can have a little bit of a treat. And it's this idea of just meeting customers meeting them where they are and showing that healthy food doesn't always can be delicious and craveable.
And you priced them comparably to a McDonald's fry, correct?
Correct. So we talked a lot about pricing, especially in this environment. Everyone's talking about the consumer, and we said we want to price them competitively. And so we ran a study, and I was shocked. When I found out I could not believe how much people charge for fries in this country. The average McDonald's medium fries in this country is $4.40. So our goal was to charge around the price of fast food fries. So we charge between $4.25 and $4.95, depending on the market. And so far, the response has been great. People are loving it, and it's been really fun storytelling online as well.
Okay. You have talked about them as a way to appeal to more diners, people who perhaps would not come into a Sweetgreen. You've also talked about fries as a way to increase ticket size and attach rate and all of those terms that investors love. Understanding it's been less than a month since they've been in the wild, what can you share about their reception and how it's going?
So far, we're really excited about the reception. I think, first off, the social engagement on it was amazing. It's a product with the packaging. It shoots well, it's craveable, and we did a lot of really fun things around storytelling with it, and so far it's doing great. I can't say a lot because given the time period, but overall, people are loving them. We're learning a lot about how to perfect the operation and really make sure that we perfect get the right crisp, and it's really about cutting. It's the funny things I deal with in my job. It's perfecting the potato to be cut the right size, the equal size every single time, and then cooking them very often. Given the fact that they're air fried and not deep fried, and the fact that they don't have any of those the processing or chemicals, the shelf life or the half-life is less than normal fries, so we have to cook them very, very often.
What's very, very often?
We cook on about every 30 to 45 minutes. We are cooking a fresh batch of fries.
Really? From open to close?
From open to close.
Okay. And are they selling? Are they flying off the shelf?
They are selling very well.
Okay. All right. Fair. Fries, it really feels like the ultimate fast food move. And you referred to Sweetgreen as fast food. I think there was a time that the average consumer would consider Sweetgreen the anti-fast food. Can you just talk a little bit about how you're working to change that perspective? Because I have heard fast food from you and your other executive members many, many times in the last few months.
So if you go back and you think about why fast food was created and when it was created, it definitely solved a need that we had in America. And it helped us feed people quickly. It's what happened to fast food over time as it scaled. If you go back to all the big fast food names, and I don't want to name names, when they first started, they didn't do things the way they do them today. So what does fast food stand for? It's about fast, it's about convenience, it's about accessibility, it's about craveability. There are these brands that kind of mean something to us as Americans. It's what fast food has become, and what they've had to do to scale around the quality of the ingredients that has given fast food the connotation today. So in many ways, yes, we are the antithesis of fast food, but we are trying to redefine what fast food can mean. That fast food can be healthy, it can be accessible, it can be convenient, it can be good for you and delicious, and it can be good for the environment and sustainable. So we're trying to kind of change the definition of what fast food is.
Do you think it's working? Do you think that the definition is changing?
We just opened our 250th restaurant around the country. If you told me that when we started in our dorm room 18 years ago, I don't know if I would have believed you. I think at the time the business plan was we're going to get to 20 stores. But over time, every year we realized that the opportunity is bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, is it changing? I do think it's changing. The markets we're opening in today are way different than when we first started. We started on the East Coast and then very coastal. We're now opening in the Midwest, in Texas, in kind of like middle of the country, suburban. We're opening drive-throughs. And not only are we doing it, but you're seeing the competition spawn. So if you look around, in the major cities, you'll see a lot of players talking about similar things that Sweetgreen is talking about. So I think it's still early, but I do think fast food is changing. And I think where you're also going to see the change, and what I'm very excited about, is when we start to pressure big fast food to change what they're doing. And you are seeing some of that as well. You saw Steak and Shake 2 weeks ago announce that they're moving their fries to cooking in beef tallow. Mm-hmm. So it's small little changes where whether it's us or other forces, people care more about what's put into their food. And it's not just us, we're part of a much broader movement. But we'd like to, through teaching the customer, hopefully influence the market to change the food system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your seed oils announcements, plural, seem to be a big part of that. You've been moving away from them for some time, but they have been top of mind for many people and have become almost political. But you're cooking with no seed oils, correct?
Correct. So a few years ago, it was probably 3 years ago, we started hearing from a lot of our most loyal customers. They were usually in New York or LA. They were the very health-conscious biohacker type customers. They started talking to us about seed oils. And so we went deep, we started learning about it. We started to really think about what we were using in our kitchens. At the time, we were using a high olealic sunflower oil. It's actually a very good oil that we are proud of, but what we heard from our customers is they wanted options that were seed oil free. So almost 2 years ago, we made an announcement that we were changing all of our cooking to be seed oil free, cooking either in extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Ever since then, the conversation has gotten louder and louder and louder, and obviously with this administration and RFK, it's kind of hit a crescendo. Mm-hmm. We'd like to stay out of politics. That's not why we do things. We like to listen to our customers, and we really, really are obsessed with our customers and what they want and want to give options. So really for us, we think olive oil is delicious, so is avocado oil. We have nothing necessarily against seed oils, but if our customers want seed oil-free options, it's something that we want to offer for them.
Fair. There's this narrative, I want to talk a little bit about tech, and there's this narrative about technology increasing efficiency and optimizing productivity, and I believe your metric is throughput. And those sound great, again, to an investor, but are not hospitable, right? They don't sound hospitable to me. You're a restaurant brand. How are you balancing that need to be productive, the need to, maintain throughput with the customer experience inside of a Sweetgreen restaurant?
At Sweetgreen, one of the core principles we have in how we lead the brand is this delicate balance of art and science. I think all great consumer brands integrate art and science in a really, really nice way. And both are very important. For us, the science is the automation, the technology, the data, all of those things that help us scale and deliver on our experience. But none of that matters without the art. Without the art, a brand is nothing. The art is the storytelling. For us, it's the food, it's the culture, it's the lifestyle, it's the design, it's the theater. And so I really believe you need both, and they need to work really well together. Great science with no art, you're nothing. Great art with no science, you can have one great restaurant, but maybe not scale. So we really try to figure out how to do both and make sure that the technology is an enabler. We may talk about our automation initiatives at some point. Sweetgreen has begun to invest in automation over the past few years. We call it the infinite kitchens. They're restaurants that are the assembly is automated. And people, a lot of people ask about it. They think they're excited, and they come see the restaurant with the automation. They're like, "Where's the automation?" And the point is, you can see it; it's right in front of you, but it's not robots. You walk into the restaurant and you see people cooking food. You see people prepping food, and they're putting them in a machine that happens to assemble the bowls much faster, much more accurately, and much more food safe than a human would. And so for us, again, the technology is just an enabler. Mm-hmm. But what really matters is the storytelling and the art.
I liken them to a salad vending machine, is kind of how I talk about them, big tubes of ingredients. I'm glad you brought up the Infinite Kitchen. I've been wanting to ask you this for a really long time. Where did that name come from?
So the name actually came, so the story of Infinite Kitchen, we thought about bringing automation into Sweetgreen almost a decade ago. I remember when I brought it up to people internally and certain friends, they thought I was absolutely crazy. But I looked at where the biggest issues in the restaurant were around accuracy, around throughput, around the challenges around labor, and where labor was going to go over time, and it just made sense. And the way we actually brought it to light, we actually tried to do it ourselves for a while. We built an automation team in-house. We tried to develop it ourselves. Did not go super well. But along the way, we stayed close with a team out of Boston, 4 kids out of MIT that had a very similar vision to us. Their vision was create Sweetgreen. They were Sweetgreen fanatics.
Okay.
They loved what we did, and their idea was create Sweetgreen, but automate it. And they did an incredible job at the technology side, and an okay job, call it, on the art side. And so about 3 years ago, we acquired the team. They came on, and I've been leading our automation efforts. Their CEO, Michael, and the team is all still with us. And they were the ones that came up with that name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So an Infinite Kitchen location does not produce infinite salads, but it can do 500 bowls an hour, is that correct?
We do approximately, 500 bowls per hour.
Okay, that's significant.
Yeah.
And customers order on a screen. It's a very technologically charged experience, right?
So customers can order on a kiosk, they can order on their phone, but they can also order from a human being.
Okay.
So there's a concierge position in the restaurants where the idea is how can we lean a little bit more into hospitality, so you have someone with a tablet out there that can also take your order.
Okay. And then in terms of the humans in the kitchen, you mentioned this, the kitchen is not hidden in the Infinite Kitchen locations. The food prep is out front?
Correct.
Okay. And what else are the humans doing in those stores?
Well, maybe just going back to the why here is, most restaurant companies, as they scale, they start to cut corners. and they cut corners in order to scale and drive margins. Usually the corners they cut are around their sourcing and around their scratch cooking. So they dumb down where they buy the food from, and then they stop making things in their restaurants. They make them in a commissary somewhere and bring them in a bag and make it easier to do in the restaurants. At Sweetgreen, those two things are what make our brand. It's our local and regional supply chain with these farmers we know, and it's that we make these things from scratch and it's fresh. If we were to get rid of those two things, I don't know what our brand would really stand for. So the idea was, how can we leverage technology to help us scale, offer us benefits of consistency, speed, margin expansion, and make the job easier in the restaurant? So get all those benefits, but do it in a totally different way. Put the technology at the node, not in the center. And so that's why we brought the technology in the restaurants now. When you come in, we make all the food from scratch. So, whether it's the lettuce being washed and chopped, the chicken being marinated and roasted, everything, the dressings being made from hand, it's all done right in front of you. And the idea with these stores was, how can we actually bring that forward? How do we make more theater, and kind of when you walk into the restaurant, instead of just seeing a front line where you see the food, how do you actually see a kitchen? How can we see a kitchen where all of that food is being made? So there's, what we call it, more credit for the quality that we are providing.
And right now you have 12 of those locations out of 250. You're adding significantly more this year. Is the Infinite Kitchen and automation the future of Sweetgreen locations?
So we have 12 today. 3 of those are retrofits. 9 of them are new locations. We're opening at least, what we've said is, of the 40-ish stores we'll open this year, at least half of them will feature an Infinite Kitchen. I think that number will go up year after year in terms of the percentage of new builds. I think there will always be a case, places where we may not automate the store for certain reasons, but I think it's a huge part of the future.
Okay. And customer feedback, what's it like for these locations versus, I'll even ask about a retrofit. A customer in Midtown New York is used to going to Sweetgreen and dealing with humans only, and then you do construction for 2 months and they come back and it's now automated. What do they think?
Well, overall, overwhelmingly good. So as we've surveyed our customers, 90% of them prefer to a classic store, especially when we do the before and after. And the things that they love, one, you go to that, one of our retrofits that we've done in these urban environments. If you went at peak lunch and waited in line, it could take you up to 15-ish minutes to get your food. At Penn Plaza, where we've done that retrofit, the average time to get your food is 3.5 minutes.
That's significant.
So you come in and you get your food in 3.5 minutes. Humans have accuracy issues. We make food very quickly. Sometimes they make a mistake. With the Infinite Kitchen, no longer making mistakes. The other interesting thing that we found that we weren't necessarily expecting was people are saying the food quality is better. And one of the reasons is because the way we hold the food, and there's no oxidization in those tubes. So whereas food can sometimes sit out, imagine a tomato, or you see it with the bright food most. So you have like purple cabbage or these tomatoes, they'll sit out, and as oxygen will, the color will change. Some of that flavor pop will slightly dull. But when you keep it in these things, they're airtight, and that does not happen. So we're seeing food that has better flavor, perfectly portioned, faster, and if we can deliver on that hospitality piece, I think it's a really winning combination. The last thing is in the stores that have the Infinite Kitchen, employee turnover is significantly lower. So what that's telling us is the less stressful job, and the team members are enjoying it more, our managers are enjoying it more, and anyone who works in retail knows that the happiness of the team really matters in terms of driving long-term performance and building our brand.
One more thing I want to address that has a tech assist, and I think I clocked in an interview a little while ago, a couple years ago maybe, that you wanted to create the Spotify for food, right? We're talking about menu personalization, assisted by technology. You've indicated that is perhaps coming at some point. You're obviously looking at how to evolve Sweetgreen. How are you thinking about personalizing your offering for a customer?
Yeah, this is something that I've been very passionate about for a long time. I'm very excited to see it starting. We're starting to work on this right now. If you think about Sweetgreen, there are over 1 billion combinations you can make with the ingredients we have. But we show you a menu with 12 things on it. The reality is menus over time should be personalized. You open your app, we should know a lot more about you, whether that be from how you've purchased, your taste preferences, whether it be more of your health preferences, and we should be able to design meals for you that meet both your taste and health goals. So it's something that we've been building kind of the data foundation for, as well as the technology foundation. It's something we're going to begin testing, and I'm very excited about because it really takes it from, the Sweetgreen to your Sweetgreen.
Great. Well, we are exactly at time. Jonathan Neman, CEO of Sweetgreen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening in.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.